Ever felt like a prisoner to your own thoughts? Welcome to the maze of unhelpful thinking styles. These are the mental traps we often fall into without even realizing it. They're like quicksand. The more we struggle, the deeper we sink. Negative emotions often stem from these distorted patterns of thinking. They're like dark clouds shrouding our mind, casting shadows on our perception of reality. We may find ourselves focusing on the negatives, jumping to conclusions, personalizing events, or catastrophizing minor issues. These cognitive distortions, as psychologists call them, can lead us down a path of anxiety, depression, and stress. But here's the good news. Once we become aware of these unhelpful thinking styles, we can start to challenge and change them. We can learn to navigate the maze, escape the mental traps, and clear away the dark clouds. Recognizing these distorted thoughts can drastically change your emotional landscape. Ever found yourself focusing on that one negative detail? That's called a mental filter. It's like viewing the world through a lens that only picks up on the negatives while the positives fade into the background. This magnifying glass of the mind can make a small flaw or setback seem like the entire picture. It's as if you're looking at a beautiful painting, but all you can see is a tiny imperfection. This focus on the negative can color your entire perception, turning a generally good day into a bad one based on one single event. But here's the thing. Reality is made up of both positives and negatives. By focusing solely on the negatives, you're missing out on the full, balanced picture. So the next time you find yourself stuck on a negative detail, take a step back, broaden your view, and you'll start seeing the full, balanced picture. Do you often find yourself assuming the worst? Welcome to the world of jumping to conclusions. This unhelpful thinking style can turn a peaceful mind into a whirlwind of worries. We've all been there, right? A friend doesn't reply to your text immediately, and suddenly they must be mad at you. Your boss calls you into their office, and instantly you're convinced you're about to be fired. But here's the thing. These assumptions are often based on limited information, and usually they're far from accurate. They're just thoughts, not facts. And the more we indulge them, the more we feed our anxiety and stress. So the next time you find yourself leaping to a conclusion, take a moment, breathe. Ask yourself, do I have all the facts? More often than not, you'll find the answer is no. Stay grounded. Avoid unnecessary worries by not assuming too much. Ever blamed yourself for everything that goes wrong? This is what we call personalization. A thinking style that can distort your perception of reality. Personalization can make you feel as if you're the center of every negative event, even when you're not. It's like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Let's say your friend is feeling down. Personalization would have you believe it's because of something you did or said. But more often than not, people's moods are influenced by a variety of factors, many of which have nothing to do with you. This form of thinking can lead to unnecessary guilt and stress. It's important to remember that we're all navigating our own unique experiences and challenges. Not every negative event is a direct result of your actions. So the next time you find yourself taking the blame for everything, take a step back. Remember, not everything revolves around your actions. Does a small issue feel like a disaster waiting to happen? This is catastrophizing, a thinking style that magnifies problems, turning molehills into mountains. It's like viewing life through a lens that only focuses on potential disaster, making small issues seem like full-blown catastrophes. Imagine you're late for a meeting. Instead of seeing it as a minor inconvenience, you're convinced it will lead to job loss and financial ruin. That's catastrophizing in action. It's the mental equivalent of a snowball rolling downhill, gathering size and speed until it's an unstoppable force. But remember, it's rarely as bad as it seems. Most of our worries never come to fruition. It's important to challenge these catastrophic thoughts. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could really happen, and how likely is it? By doing this, you can start to bring your fears back down to size. Keep perspective. Small issues aren't always disasters. We've taken a deep dive into the maze of unhelpful thinking styles. This labyrinth, often self-created, can seem intimidating, but remember, it's not impenetrable. We've explored various distorted thought patterns, each with its own unique challenges. First, the mental filter, which magnifies the negatives while ignoring the positives. It's like looking at a beautiful painting through a magnifying glass, focused solely on a tiny imperfection. Broaden your perspective, and you'll see a much fuller, richer picture. Then, we discussed jumping to conclusions, a tricky pitfall where we assume the worst based on limited information. Like making a mountain out of a molehill, we amplify our fears unnecessarily. The remedy? Stay grounded and avoid overthinking. We also touched on personalization, the tendency to blame yourself for everything. It's as if arrows of guilt constantly point towards you. But remember, not everything revolves around you. It's important to differentiate between what's in your control and what isn't. Next, we talked about catastrophizing, where small issues grow into monstrous problems in our minds. It's essential to keep things in perspective and not let minor setbacks cloud our judgment. Black and white thinking, our next unhelpful thinking style, strips life of its vibrancy, forcing it into extreme views. But life is not binary. It's a spectrum, a myriad of grays between the black and white. We then explored shooting and musting, where we impose unrealistic standards on ourselves and others. This can create unnecessary pressure. It's important to ease up and find balance. Overgeneralization, another unhelpful thinking style, is where we create a pattern from a single event. It's crucial to stay open-minded and not let one instance dictate our entire outlook. Finally, we looked at labeling and emotional reasoning, where we define ourselves or others by one action and mistake our fears for facts. It's vital to see the bigger picture and challenge our feelings. Awareness is the first step. Equip yourself with knowledge and navigate life's maze with a clearer vision.